Okay, let's get to some serious news. I've been like avoiding talking about this harder than avoiding the top of the hour ad break, which I'm not avoiding really. I'm going to run that top of the hour ad break right now, and then we're going to move on to some serious news right now. What happened in Jacksonville, something that has happened many, many times over. And as far as the breaking news from UNC goes, I'm just going to give you guys an update on it. Chapel Hill, UNC. Oh, wait, first, hold on. Let me just run the fucking ad break. I'm all over the goddamn place. I'm so ADHD right now. It's out of control. Yeah, the update is that the suspect is still at large, armed or dangerous, on or near UNC Chapel Hill campus. Shelter in place is still in effect, as far as I understand. As Americans, students. That's all I'm gonna give you guys on this situation, and then we'll get to that when there's more real real-time updates happening. Okay, here's the 3-minute ad break now. Let's get started on the other news. Another mass shooting. Investigation into racially motivated shooting that occurred. There's newly released security footage showing the moment a self-proclaimed white supremacist shot and killed 3 black people at a Jacksonville Dollar General store before killing himself on Saturday. Of course, this is the United States of America. You know, everybody does shootings. But, of course, white supremacists do way more than other groups. The far right is very good at racially targeted, racially motivated hate crimes. And, that's what's going on. The kid, as far as I understand, the white supremacist piece of shit, he originally went to a historically black college, and security told him to fuck off. So then he moved into a Dollar General store. The reason why his manifesto is out and about in broad daylight is because he released it. He released it ahead of time. So if you come in here and you want to debate and be like, what about the trans shooter in Nashville? Like, well, they didn't release it. So there's not really anything you can go off of there. It's clearly not racially motivated. The swastikas on his gun weren't drawn clearly. Right-wing nutters. Yeah, right-wingers have been going crazy mode on this, of course. Not defending it, but saying, don't make this political. Don't make this political. What does this have to do with, right-wing violence? I don't get it. Speaking of which, though, of course, we are in the United States of America. More than 25,000 people have been killed in gun violence so far in 2023. And more than half of all gun violence deaths this year were deaths by suicide, as always. So just remember that. What do you mean 25K? What the fuck? Guys, there have been 131 mass shootings with 4 or more people wounded or killed so far in 2023 as well. We're breaking records, baby. Number 1 country on the planet. Best at doing white supremacist acts of violence. Best at doing mass shootings. Best at gun violence. Best at gun deaths. 25K by August is pretty high, I think. Yeah, it is. But I'm saying that, like, guys. This is the United States of America, baby. If they were telling me, like, hundreds of thousands of people are dying to heart disease, I'm like, yeah, of course. Of course that's the case. We're America. Just in as of this past weekend, the United States has now eclipsed 25,000 plus gun injuries for the year, an average of over 100 non-fatal shootings each day. From the Gun Violence Archive itself. Now, obviously, a lot of these different trackers have different metrics. That's why you'll see like 28,000 in certain points, or you'll hear 25,000 in certain different points. But let's get started with this one. An investigation is being conducted into the racially motivated shooting, as you guys already know. When the cops immediately in the aftermath of a shooting say that this was racially motivated, you bet your fucking ass it was racially motivated. So much so that, like, the kid literally was probably saying, the dude, whoever the fuck it is probably saying, I am here to do a racially motivated shooting, okay? Because it's not like police are really excited at the prospect of immediately saying this is a hate crime. They're not. If anything, they themselves engage in a lot of that themselves and would rather not say that something is a racially motivated shooting. unless it is very obviously racially motivated. He literally had swastikas on his gun, as far as I understand, yes, and he released his manifesto to the media beforehand. So very clearly what happened in this situation is yet another instance where it's like very clearly telegraphed as a racially motivated white supremacist act of violence.
This morning into the racially motivated mass shooting in Florida. A white gunman killing 3 black people in a dollar store and then turning the gun on himself.
Community leaders gathered last night to remember the victims, including a 19-year-old store employee, along with a young father of a 4-year-old girl. Alex Prochet is live in Jacksonville with the latest. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Robin. Yeah, the family of that young father is in shock. This community is hurting. One resident telling me yesterday that the only thing getting her through right now is faith.
This morning, this newly released security footage shows the horrific moment a self-proclaimed white supremacist shot and killed 3 black people at a Jacksonville Dollar General before turning the gun on himself. Authorities investigating Saturday afternoon's deadly rampage as a racially motivated hate crime, one that has left this predominantly black neighborhood reeling.
Our community is grappling to understand why this atrocity occurred. I urge us all not to look.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that confusing. I'll be honest. Like why would it be at this point? I mean, it literally happened. It happened in Buffalo. Identical terms, identical conditions, identical terms. Fuck it. Even the dude looks the same. You know what I mean? It's always the same disgusting little fucking basement dwelling Nazi cretins that that are so personally wronged. Like they spiritually feel like modern society, modern liberal society has wronged them for not giving them what they believe they are worth. When there's a mismatch with what they thought they were supposed to have as white men and what society has given them as white men, they turn into, we were Vikings, I was a fucking Viking in a past life, I am the superior race automatically, and you should respect that. It's a coping mechanism that is infinitely dangerous, infinitely more dangerous than any other type of coping mechanism in a society that was built around white entitlement and white supremacy. If this is the alternative on the other side is nowhere near as damning or damaging because the alternative does not have structural violence backing this kind of behavior. Okay? Just want everybody to understand that. Like the people on 4chan immediately would be like, oh, what do you mean? Like, we was Kangs, we was Kangs. Like, it's like there is no equivalent because there is no structural support afforded to black people to enact systemic violence on white people as there is structural support and systemic violence enacted on black people at the behest of white supremacy. Okay? It just doesn't work that way. It only goes one direction. You might not like it. You might feel like this makes you lose a debate or whatever, but it is just the reality. Okay? How do you rehabilitate someone like this if he survived? You move him away from this environment. You move him away from the online community immediately. If you didn't see some of the evidence that the right is denying is on his gun, scroll down to the last picture. Yeah. People are, of course, like, first he went to Edward Waters University. He was told to fuck off, and then he went and he found a dollar store. Shooter's father called the police after the shooting started. He had swastikas on his gun, obviously, and numerous other random carvings on his gun. Yeah, it's such a classic story at this point. I mean, it's been happening nonstop, especially under the Trump administration. It happened quite a bit, and it's only upping the frequency because we just have no way to deal with it spiritually. Okay? There is a multitude of different reasons for why this kind of thing happens in the United States of America with way more frequency than anywhere else. Obviously, mass availability of guns is one of them. But if you want to talk about if you want to have a more holistic approach, there's a couple different reasons. One, the white entitlement not matching the white material conditions that certain people experience, where they are like, why am I being wronged when you know, my parents told me I'm supposed to amount to something so much better than this. I'm not getting this. I'm not getting the output does not represent what the input is supposed to be like, or what the input promised me. Okay, there's that aspect, and then America's interest in violence. Like America is a spiritual problem as well, with respect to how much violence that we do overseas, how much violence that we even do domestically, and totally normalize in the hands of the police, how much violence that we do overseas to other people, and the negligence or the disdain that we feel for those victims of violence overseas. That kind of thing, of course, is going to have a genuine negative consequence in the minds of Americans. If there's so much violence all around you and you've normalized it, you are of course going to act out in this way. Okay? Overseas violence perpetuated by the U.S. Armed Forces has always been ignored and almost glorified. Exactly. The shooter had also been previously Baker acted, forcibly hospitalized for psychiatric issues, yet he could legally purchase the guns. Well, that's very Florida. It's nice. Anyway, so yeah, we also do a lot of structural violence to the poor and the homeless. We do a lot of racialized violence to black people, brown people in their communities that police are basically occupying like an occupying force. You know, all of this has created a perfect environment for these kinds of things to happen over and over and over again. You know what I mean? That's it. We have more prisons than colleges. UNC school shooters still active. I'm in a classroom. Yeah, if you're in UNC, you know, keep your head down. I don't know what else to say other than that. So this shit happens everywhere. Fucking libtard. Yeah, you're right. I'm a fucking libtard because I think that it's very odd that we have had 25,000 people killed by guns so far when we're like basically just past the halfway point of the year. That's why I am a libtard. I'm talking about a white supremacist terrorist today, and while I'm talking about it, there's another mass shooting happening at UNC right now. There's chatters in here that are fucking watching under a goddamn desk in their fucking classrooms, and you're calling me a libtard for being like, that shit's fucked up. Yeah, you're right. I'm a libtard because bullets should be hailing literally every day, and we should just have Kevlar umbrellas for it and move on, you know? Because we're red-blooded patriots or something. I don't fucking know at this point. Incredible stuff. Thank you. Thank you for normalizing this kind of shit that occurs on a daily basis.
For sense and a senseless act of violence.
Police say the suspect, 21-year-old Ryan Christopher Palmetter, first arrived at Edward Waters University, a nearby historically black university, at 12:48 p.m. and put on a bulletproof vest. Police using this video as part of their investigation, showing the suspect getting dressed before the shooting. Campus security confronts him, tells him to leave, and later notifies law enforcement.
EWU flags down JSO officer and says there's a suspicious person on campus. He had an opportunity to do violence. In EWU, he did not.
At 1:08 p.m., surveillance video outside the Dollar General shows the shooter, without warning, firing 11 rounds into 52-year-old Angela Michelle Carr's Kia, killing her. The gunman then walks into the store and shoots 19-year-old employee Analt Joseph Legary Jr. And minutes later, after multiple witnesses flee out the back of the store, 29-year-old Gerald Gallion enters, the shooter killing him and missing his girlfriend.
At 1:14 and 23 seconds, the suspect enters the office. At 1:18, the suspect texts his father and says, use a screwdriver to get into my room. The father enters the room and finds a last will and testament of the suspect along with a suicide note on his laptop.
The family eventually calling police, but by that time, the rampage was over, the shooter taking his own life as officers arrived on the scene. All of this carnage happening in a little over 10 minutes. Investigators finding writings on the gunman which they say contained racist and hateful ideology, as well as a painted swastika on one of the firearms. They say the suspect was involuntarily held for 72 hours at a mental health facility as a minor in 2017, but that he had no prior criminal history and purchased his guns, a handgun and an AR-15 style rifle, legally.
There was no criminal record, nothing. There was nothing that we could have done to stop him from owning a firearm, a rifle, or a handgun. There was no red flags.
It was hatred.
Bro, what do you mean? Wait, what? Brother, sisters, if you are 5150'd, you should not be able to buy a gun legally. Okay? Sorry. Like, literally, if you are involuntarily held, you should not be able to buy a gun legally. What do you mean? And it doesn't matter. Even if you're fucking suicidal and not a danger to others, you still shouldn't be able to buy a gun legally. You want to know why? Because what the fuck are you going to do with the gun? You're going to kill yourself with the gun. That's it. More than half of the fucking gun deaths in this goddamn country are suicides. Have you played the same part where the chief starts going hog about guns? Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Yeah. Guns just make it much easier. We're definitely about to get some That's Ableist chatters. Remember, chat? Yes, we're being ableist right now. You should not have a gun. Oh, yeah. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, dude, I'm ableist. Blind people should not be able to fucking drive cars, okay? Ableism. It's fucking awesome. Okay, there you go. I said it. I am 100% an ableist when it comes to depressed people, clinically depressed people owning fucking firearms in their homes. Okay, sorry. You know, no shot. Nope, not allowed. There are plenty of fucking veterans in this chat who will also agree with me. The fuck do you mean? There's also plenty of veterans who won't agree with me on this because, you know, they love guns. But it's fucking ridiculous, dude. Do not own a firearm. There's a reason why when I when I click the run the ad button, you get, if you're a veteran, you get a fucking ad which is like, hey, please, the VA will give you a free lock on your gun case. And that in that 1.5 second of you, the time it takes for you to unlock your fucking gun case, you will be reminded not to kill yourself. That's America's way of dealing with veteran suicides, okay? That's how fucked up the situation is. Like, it's insane that, like, we can't really do anything. We can't really do anything about it. We're not going to offer enough mental health care. We certainly can't stop you from having guns. So the VA has made an ad campaign where it's like, hey, guys, we'll give you a free lock for your gun case if you have one, so that, you know, in the 1 second to 30 seconds it takes for you to unlock your gun case, you'll reconsider shooting yourself in the fucking mouth. That's America's solution to PTSD suicide with a gun. Okay? We do not care. You will not touch this country. You will not touch this country's treats. Guns are treats. It's so perfectly crafted as an identity. It's not an accident that 25,000 gun deaths have happened so far in the middle of August. It's not an accident. It's by design.
For this individual who lived in another county and do a senseless act, it's just unacceptable.
The grieving community reflecting on the lives lost, like Gerald Gallion, a father of a 4-year-old daughter, loved one saying she was everything to him.
When you look at this situation, knowing that you have to tell your granddaughter, how do you make sense of all that?
I don't know. I'm just going to have to pray and ask God to give me the words and the strength to sit her down and tell her. Because she's so young. And all she...
Gun deaths by suicide and mass shootings have been a problem for quite a while. It's not just school shootings, man. It's been a very long time. Well, yeah, I know. I'm not saying it's just school shootings. I've never said it's just school shootings. I always talk about how it's the fucking... It is literally the tip of the iceberg, okay? School shootings are just the tip of the iceberg. It's just like the most unjustifiable version of a structure that is like infinitely unjustifiable from top to bottom, but that is like the maximum level of unjustifiable. Bro, we had a fucking kindergarten mass shooting. Like, what are we talking about? Yeah, it is so fucked up. Like, that's it. There's nothing else. After that, there's nothing else. That is so much violence, so much pure, unadulterated cruelty. You can't do anything after that.
He knew it's her dad.
That grandmother tells me that they still haven't figured out how to tell Gerald's 4-year-old daughter the news. She's dreading the conversation. Now, as for this investigation, the FBI is now looking at this as a hate crime. Rebecca.
Alex Perche, thank you, Alex.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts.
Anyway, Desantis did a fucking Jacksonville shooting vigil, which was like his own Pete Buttigieg moment, I guess. Like, you know? I know there's a shooting at UNC, chat. I know. I know.
We're going to ask the governor if he would come now and bring remarks.
Well, thank you for doing this. I want to just say to the councilwoman, I got you. Don't worry about it. We've already been looking to identify funds to be able to help, one, make sure there's adequate security for Edward Waters College. We are not going to allow these institutions to be targeted by people.
Okay, listen, y'all. Let me tell you, we finna put parties aside. Cause it ain't about parties today. A bullet don't know a party. So don't get me started. Okay, Jacoby is nice, but Ann is not. Now, if the governor wanted to come here and he bringing gifts to my community, y'all know I'm taking the gifts because we've been through enough already, and I don't want to go through no more. Now, y'all just be quiet just a minute and let the governor say what he gonna say, and we gonna get this party started. You hear me? Okay, let's do it.
So we have already.
She's in a weird predicament because, like, you know, this guy's a fucking giant piece of shit, and you know, he has played a role in white supremacy thriving in his state, like personally utilized it as an opportunity to you know, make campaign messages, but also at the same time it's like, well, he's the governor, you know what I mean? He has to give fucking money. It's a weird position. Lady, he ain't bringing shit. He's just there to farm what votes. It doesn't matter. By design, in order to farm votes, it's nasty. It's a nasty situation. But by design, in order to farm votes, he will actually probably put funds towards that community. It's really fucked up. But that is America. And at a certain point, you have to be fucking pragmatic. Not that she's doing the right thing there. I mean, but there's no other situation where you have to play ball with the governor. You know what I mean? You have to play ball with the governor, who himself currently is running a national campaign and wants black voters to vote for him as well. And that's part of the reason why he has to fucking dump money into that region to make it seem like he gives a shit, while simultaneously playing this song and dance where he hypes the racial agitation. He hypes up the racial agitation as much as possible.
We identified funds from the state of Florida. I've been in touch with Dr. Face.
He's also doing the weird, like, he's so fucking gross. I'm so glad they booed the shit out of him, by the way. He is so gross because he's doing, like, his like politician stump speech voice. Where he's like, we have identified funds and we're giving it to Jacksonville. Like, what are you, fucking insane? You think they're supposed to cheer after that? Like, you're expecting claps? Yeah, here, by the way, I know I haven't seen this yet, but I'm willing to bet that this guy didn't fucking hate DeSantis all that much, because over the last year, neo-Nazis in Florida who have openly shown their support for DeSantis, and he has refused to condemn them. Instead, his campaign featured a neo-Nazi symbol. Now a neo-Nazi shot and killed 3 people in a racially motivated mass shooting in Jacksonville. You know what I mean? Because, like, I haven't seen his manifesto yet, but it's not like Ron DeSantis has been openly shitting on the Nazis that are protesting all around Florida and saying they love Ron DeSantis. When neo-Nazis openly carried his campaign flag, DeSantis refused to condemn them and attacked journalists for even asking him about it. He said that people trying to smear him by even asking him to condemn neo-Nazis. So, yeah. No one likes him, Lamont, not Trump, not the GOP, not the fucking public, only Nazis. Yeah, young Republicans are super groiped up, okay? They are incredibly groiped up. They're like unbearable fucking Nazis. They're unbearable fascists. They're incredibly nerdy about their fascism. And they like Ron DeSantis because they think he's like a clinical fascist who's going to go in and enact their will like he has done in Florida. You want to know why? Because they're fucking stupid. They're in a goddamn echo chamber, and they think people respond positively to this level of, like, out and about, openly directed fascist violence in America right now. Now, there might be an appetite for it in the future. It certainly seems like it, but you still have to mask it, okay? You have to push the institutions to enact a white supremacist agenda while simultaneously denying that it exists. The moment that you go out and you fucking hit the Sig Heil, it's over. Every fucking old racist is going to look at that and go, that's gross. What are you doing? The Nazis are the Democrats, not us. That type of shit. That's why most Southerners utilize Confederate imagery to invoke the same feelings, okay? It's more of a spiritual defense of the South and Southern culture and heritage. It's Southern pride. It's not white pride. You know what I mean? Even though it's very obvious what they're fucking defending. Maybe some of them don't know because it's that personally embedded in their educational structure and that personally embedded in their media. But I think Newsom played ball with you and your friends. Wait, what? Newsom played ball with you and your viewers? What are you saying? Understand that even racists don't like to be called racist, okay? Racists don't like to be called racist because once you are marked with like being a backer of like Nazism, KKK, all this shit, it's over. You can't win over anybody else at that point. The only other people you're talking to are people that are just as fucking brain broken as you. And when you're in these like insane echo chambers online, you end up hyping each other up. Okay, fuck Hasan for real. You're right, brother. You fuck me for real, dude. I know. It's really fucked up because I'm saying insane things like racism is bad. I know. It's really messed up. For real, though. It is, you know, it's not like I'm making a bold assertion here. I'm just saying that, like, racism is bad, and it's so bad that even racists recognize it's bad, and they don't want to be fucking called racist. And at this stage, at this day and age online, you can say something like that, which most people should agree with. Even motherfuckers will turn around and be like, nah, actually, it's a bad take, brother. Racism is good, actually. Like, what is that your opportunity here? Is that what you're trying to say? That racism is good? Fuck Hasan for real? Anyway. So. Where the fuck were we? Neo-Nazis across Florida have been engaged in terror campaign against the LGBTQ community and the Jewish community. They have regularly shown up outside of drag events and projects swastikas on the buildings in Jacksonville. The mass shooting is not isolated. The shooting yesterday is a manifestation of the putrid hate and bigotry that has festered in Florida for the last 2 years that has been emboldened and inspired by Desantis. The media needs to hold him accountable for this because so far they have failed to. Now, as much as we make fun of little Rhonda being absolutely fucking Rizless, okay? And how he is just like pathetic, unlikable, all this shit. So are the rest of these fucking Nazis, okay? So they, in their own echo chambers, have created a false narrative, a false reality, where like, no, actually, people will believe us, and they will see our actions, and they will think it's cool and awesome. Because they are completely isolated from normal individuals in society that they personally think this kind of shit is actually good and that it would get, mass popularity. It will reach mass popularity until they go out and protest in the wild and they get their shit pushed in and they get like either arrested like January 6th or they do the Charlottesville situation, Unite the Right rally. And then they realize, oh, fuck, there's actually a much larger counter protest. And they go too far, and then they're relegated back into the fucking shadows. This is also why anti-fascism is important. Because you have to show them that they are not popular. You have to show them. You have to stop them from trying to gain momentum. You know what I mean? But this is an issue with our extremely isolated, extremely alienated, hyper-atomized online communities, okay? There is no way that you believe more than half the things you say yourself. Yes, I'm faking it. I'm faking what I am describing right now when you are most likely probably a product of exactly what I'm saying. So just listen to my words, please, okay? I am also an extremely online person, okay? So I get it. I get how attitudes fester in the darkness, okay? I get how in an echo chamber online, in a Discord circle, you might fool yourself into thinking that there is a lot more broad momentum and public support for idiotic, esoteric Nazi ideologies that you might believe in or fascist ideologies that you might believe in. But that is not the case, okay? There's a reason why a lot of people talk a big game online under the guise of anonymity. And then the moment that like one of those 4chan guys or 8chan guys actually goes out in the wild and gets arrested for doing something, every other person in that community turns around and goes, oh, dude, no, that's not one of ours. That's a gay loser. He's a Fed. He's a federal agent who's also a homosexual man and a fucking loser. He's not like me at all, actually. And it's like, no, he's exactly like you. He's identical to you. He's acting out the desires that you espouse on a daily basis online. The problem is, he was crazy enough to fucking go out and do it. Okay? That's it. And when a light is shined upon a person like, a person exactly like you, you realize how the broader community views your fucking insane, sweaty, nerdy version of fascism. Okay? That's it. That's it. You look like a giant fucking loser. The cockroaches scatter when a light is shined upon them. Immediately, they move away. They're like, oh, that's not like one of ours at all, actually. Okay? So, it's always something that you need to remember. And in order to get away from that, you have to get away from these extremely online circles that you engage in. Okay? They think that saying what their grandparents believe is transgressive. No, that's where it starts. These people move beyond that, usually. Okay? It starts off by, basically saying whatever the fuck your dad is repeating from Fox News or whatever the fuck your grandparents are saying about like gay people or whatever, and it moves into something that has to be a little bit more transgressive, has to be a little bit more culturally disruptive. So you can't just be like a regular old racist, because then you're just a regular old Republican voter. You have to move the needle to an area that is weird. And that's why you're like, oh, well, I like Francis Evola. It's like, mysticism and esoteric fascism. It's like, no, you're just desperate for an identity, and you got into a unique circle that fed your hyperfixation, and instead of your hyperfixation being fucking trains or planes or any kind of normal autism shit, you chose fascism, you chose racism, you chose nerdiness, okay? It's like, oh, I read Culture of Critique. It's so brilliant. Oh, my God. And now I'm like a weird Nazi debate lord online. It's like, dude, how do you not see that is not good for you? It's not good for your mind. It's not good for you spiritually, okay? You are going down a dark path. At the end, this is what you end up doing. You gather around with a bunch of other losers just like you, and you do this kind of shit, okay? It's not good for you. Hey, don't fucking drag autism by saying there's a connection to fascists. Watch it. Okay, chill the fuck out, okay? That's not what I'm saying at all. Calm down. Anyway. You know exactly what I mean. Stop immediately making it yourself, okay? Making it about you. It's like, wow, I can't believe you said I'm a fascist. Isn't that what I said at all? Stop pearl clutching. Let's continue.
Jason, we're going to be announcing some stuff tomorrow morning, which I think will help not only with security, but also an attempt to help these families. The fact of the matter is, you had a major league scumbag come from Clay County up here, and what he did...
Major league scumbag that has been to all of my rallies. I mean, I don't know if he is, but...
What he did is totally unacceptable in the state of Florida. We are not going to let people be targeted based on their race. We are going to stand up, and we are going to do what we need to do.
Go ahead, bro. Tell them how the real racism right now is like the people targeting white people, actually. Come on. Go ahead. There was one guy who at least had the bravery to do that, fucking Vivek Ramaswamy, who is just so nutty with it. And we're going to get to that in a second.
To make sure that evil does not triumph in the state of Florida. And that means we are going to work with Edward Waters so that they have whatever security they need. In Florida, we've already given a lot of money to Jewish day schools because they've been targeted with anti-Semitism. Well, let me tell you this. You are not going to target HBCUs in the state of Florida and get away with it. We're going to hold you accountable. We're not going to let it happen. And we thank what everybody's done, TK, the mayor, and just know that the state of Florida stands with the community. Help is on the way. God bless you all.
They're booing him.
Now to Maui.
So before we get into, obviously, Maui, there's a lot more that I want to cover on this issue. Let's get to Vivek Ramaswamy. So we talked about we talked about Little Rhonda getting booed and heckled, but let's get to Vivek Ramaswamy, who, wait, where the fuck is it? I thought I had it. Where? Does anyone have the link of Ramaswamy on Cuck Todd? The highlights? And then also Dana Bash. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Ron the Satan. Hold on. Governor Ron DeSantis just now got a very tepid reception of the vigil for the victims of yesterday's shooting. He was also getting jeered some, prompting City Council member Jacoby Pittman to chide the crowd. Some larger context, DeSantis pressured the legislature to pass a congressional map that, for the first time in decades, wiped out a Jacksonville district that allowed black voters to elect the candidate of their choice. He was staring at those constituents directly in the face. There it is. They're now rep by some goober on the north in an entirely different county, and of course a Republican. Not that I think this will leave all that much of an impression on the man, but it was good the governor saw that unenthusiastic reception and heard the jeers. He made it explicit political policy ambition to rob those people of their political power. He has robbed them of their political power. He has made it illegal to fucking learn about their history correctly. All of this does not have an immediate fucking response, okay? Because as Americans, we immediately look at action, reaction, action, reaction. What is the tangible impact? What do you mean? Banning CRT is the reason why this shooting happened? I'm not saying that, okay? I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that it works in unison, okay? If you live in a country that was founded on white supremacist values, if your country did a lot of white supremacist wrongs, racial violence, racial targeting in general, systemic discrimination, which it barely accounted for and barely even educates his children on, then of course these kinds of manifestations are going to keep happening. When people go, it's not enough that cops are fucking occupying black communities. It's not enough that they are systematically left, impoverished, underfunded. It's not. That's not enough. I want more. I want more violence. And people like Ben Shapiro ask for more violence, but they do it in a civil way. They ask for structural violence that is happening. Efendim. Hayır. Tamam evet doğru. Murat'ın da eşyaları var. Evet onları da koy. Onları da götür. Hepsini götür. Tamam. Teşekkür ederim. Sorry. As I was saying, did the shooter write a manifesto? Yes, he did. I think he wrote multiple manifestos. But it is already at the heart, already at the core, and if you never right those racial wrongs, then of course more people are going to feel the need to express their desires in this way. Okay? Same thing could be said for Palestinians under Israeli rule. Absolutely. You see it. You see it there as well. You see it all around the fucking... You see it all around the world. You definitely could ask Ron that question. Do you think that the erasure of black history in schools has radicalized these Nazi Republicans to take action and erase living black people? No. I don't think Ron DeSantis' like immediate actions created this shooting. Ron DeSantis' actions on that front will create shootings in the next 10 years. Do you understand? Because that hatred was always there, and maybe Ron DeSantis' actions embolden fascists to think that they have more broader popular support than they actually do, because they see themselves in little Rhonda, a fucking antisocial nerd who is enacting a very bloodthirsty agenda at the legislative level, at the state legislative level, right? And they think, oh, yeah, this guy is just like me for real. Maybe that level of emboldenment, maybe that level of galvanizing does occur, okay? But ultimately, it's a much larger problem. And there are numerous different angles that you can tackle, okay? You can tackle the mental health aspect. You can tackle hyper-isolation, hyper-atomization that is occurring in our society. You can tackle the material conditions. You can tackle the gun part of the problem, okay? Because this issue is not born out of a singular action-reaction situation. Everyone wants that. Everyone wants that black and white narrative. You want to understand. If there's one issue that you can point to, however, it is white supremacy. Absolutely. But it's not born simply out of that. Okay? It's not born simply out of that. It's not just like this guy, white supremacist, now he's a fucking murderer. That oversimplifies it. Okay? It's not good versus evil. It's not just like, a black and white situation. Okay? The problem is we do not tackle a single aspect of the premise. We do not look at any of the issues or try to fix them. We don't do it. We just purposely turn around, turn the other cheek, act like it's not happening, or when it's happening, look for like different conspiracy theories. Please look at the juxtaposition of these data points. Economic cost of gun violence per person and the cost of progressive policies. We could do all these progressive policies to improve real material conditions and make sure this type of violence never happens again, and you still come out saving money. It doesn't matter, dude. It makes sense, but it doesn't matter. Brother, it's like public transit, okay? If you spend money on public transit and it's it's available and used by the public, then all of a sudden traffic is going to be alleviated, so you can drive your fucking car better with ease. You can get to places faster with your car if you want to. It will improve commerce. It will improve the economy. And yet we don't do it. Americans are just allergic to good things, okay? And we're dumb enough, and we've been so primed. We've been so fucking primed into believing that like good things are bad for us that we don't even think about it. Okay? You just can't do that. I didn't even mention how public transit would improve pollution, because that's another issue where it's like climate change will impact you personally. It will impact you personally, okay? You do not live out in space. You live on the planet. You live on planet Earth. It's coming for you. And yet, people don't want to think about it. It is much easier to avoid it. It's much easier to not think about it and say, no, that's some commie bullshit, okay? Anyway, so how do we get here? At 1:18 p.m., the gunman texted his father in Jacksonville and told him to go into his room, tell him that you take a screwdriver and open the door, where the father found a will and a suicide note, the sheriff said. Officers entered the store 11 minutes from the start of the shooting and heard one gunshot, which is presumed to be when the gunman shot and killed himself, the sheriff said. Suspect's father called the Clay County Sheriff at 1:53 p.m. The attack clearly targeted black people, Waters said. The suspect used racial slurs, left behind writings to his parents and media, and the federal agents outlining his disgusting ideology of hate, sheriff told reporters. Shooting was racially motivated. He hated black people. Authorities also played two short video clips of the shooting. One clip shows the shooter pointing his weapon at a black Kia outside the store, and the other shows the shooter walking into the store and pointing his rifle to his right. He killed a 19-year-old clerk, and he killed a 52-year-old woman inside of that Kia. He also shot another person, but luckily missed his girlfriend, yet killed another individual inside the store. I wanted people to be able to see exactly what happened in the situation and just how sickening it is, Waters said. The shooter did not appear to know the victims, and it is believed he acted alone. Here's some of the photos of the weapon used by the gunman, which he legally obtained, mind you, even after the fact that he was 5150'd and had an involuntary psychiatric hold on his record as a juvenile in 2017. So, let's continue. Suspect's family, they didn't do this. They're not responsible for this. This is his decision alone. The shooter was the subject of a 2017 law enforcement call under the state's Baker Act, which allows people to be involuntarily detained and subject to an examination for up to 72 hours during a mental health crisis. Waters did not provide details on what led to the Baker Act in Baker Act call in that case, but said normally a person who has been detained under the act is not eligible to purchase firearms. If there's a Baker Act situation, they're prohibited from getting guns, he told CNN Saturday. We don't know that if that Baker Act was recorded properly, whether it was considered a full Baker Act, probably because he's a juvenile. Don't know if it's because 5150 is just a code for involuntary hold, involuntary psychiatric hold. Okay? Could be because his records were sealed due to him being a minor when he was subject to an involuntary psychiatric hold, or it could be that there's probably, I assume, there's sometimes... Baba? Hey, wallah. There are also some sometimes it just runs out after a couple years. You know what I mean? 5150s are state, not federal, though. Yeah. No, it's not. It's state by state, rather. Like, involuntary psychiatric hold in each individual state has different ways of, like, stopping you from purchasing a gun or whatever. It's just 5150 is a California code for it, okay? Anyway. Later on Sunday, the sheriff said investigators found the guns appeared to be obtained legally. The shooter's writings indicated he was aware of a mass shooting at a Jacksonville gaming event where 2 people were killed exactly 5 years earlier and may have chosen the date of his attack to coincide with the anniversary, Jacksonville Mayor Donna Deegan said. Leaders reacted to the Jacksonville shooting. Ron Desantis had some fucking choice words. Deegan spoke at the vigil about unity. Jacksonville branch of the NAACP issued a statement saying it stands in solidarity with the families affected. I'm a therapist, and this is very significant in my opinion because in my state, it is extremely hard to get police to follow through on a 5150, meaning if it's not on their record, there was some serious shit happening. Baker Act is a very low bar to clear to be held in Florida. It is good to make sure someone is safe, but can be abused. Florida school social worker here. Baker Acts are terrible here. They will admit children with severe psych issues, take them off all their meds, give them all new meds, and send them on their way. Yeah. I can see them not doing a good job with this. Okay. It is deeply disheartening that our black communities live in constant fear of being targeted based on the color of their skin, unable to shop at their local store without the threat of violence, the branch said. I wanna follow through on more of the motivations here because there's a lot of people, and I want to cover people defending the shooter, or not necessarily defending the shooter, but like trying to deviate the discussion away to something entirely different when the shooter is very clearly acting out racial violence, and he very deliberately targeted a black community. He originally went to the historically black college, and then he went to the dollar store specifically because, much like the Buffalo shooter did, he wanted to find black people, much like the shooter in El Paso went to the Walmart in El Paso because he wanted to find brown people. He thought Mexicans. Okay? It is all in writing. I'm trying to find some more information on this. Okay? But as far as I understand, Twitter conspiracy theories are falsely claiming that Jacksonville Shooters Manifesto was released. Anyone else notice that the Jacksonville Shooters Manifesto within hours of the racially motivated incident? But we still don't have the Nashville Trans Terrorist Manifesto 5 months after they murdered Christian school children. One account known as DC Drano tweeted on Sunday. It's a simple explanation. One boosts the regime's racially divisive narrative, the other doesn't. Yeah. Joe Biden's racially divisive narrative of the Brandon administration is what? Like targeting black people and killing them? That's why the manifesto was released? Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? Like, the guy was a Brandon supporter? Like, what? This doesn't make sense. What you're trying to say here is that, like, when one of your guys goes out and does a fucking racial killing, you're rushing to defend it, openly admitting that he's your guy and that Brandon is against that. And that the Brandon administration is releasing this fucking manifesto because he's also against it. That's a good thing. You're making him look good. Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters held a news conference on Sunday explaining the case, including the fact that the 21-year-old Ryan Christopher Palmer shot 3 black people at a local Dollar General store in what authorities say is a racist hate crime. Waters says the shooter wrote several manifestos that detailed the shooter's disgusting ideology of hate. Plainly put, the shooting was racially motivated and he hated black people. But those manifestos have not been released, contrary to widespread reports on Twitter, the social media platform now officially known as X, where people insist the manifestos have been put out by local authorities. They do not release manifestos like this in pretty much every single instance unless the white supremacist has uploaded it himself. Okay? Do you guys want to know why? Because they don't want the shooter to actually fucking achieve his goals. Okay? His goal is to become a hero, a martyr, and have his ideology spread. That's the whole point. Why would you treat him like a martyr? Ridiculous. The media, however, has seen the manifesto, not because law enforcement gave it to the media, but because the shooter sent it to the fucking media. Okay? Ironic because the right want the manifesto of the shooter in Nashville to be released. But police have not released that manifesto or other writings by Aiden Hale, the 28-year-old who carried out the attack before being killed by the police. And while many conspiracy theorists try to suggest that there's some nefarious motive behind not releasing the manifesto, the Associated Press points out there's no national standard for releasing such writings. Manifestos for mass shooters of any political persuasion are often withheld, though the rise of the internet over the past 2 decades have allowed plenty of violent perpetrators to share their hateful ideas online before they carry out their attacks. As one example of the hate-filled writings that spread far and wide, the mass shooter who killed 51 people at 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand, shared his manifesto on the website 8chan before carrying out the attacks. Not only did the police never release that manifesto, the New Zealand government made it a crime to even share the document in the country. Whenever mass shooters commit their heinous crimes, it's only natural for the public to have questions about why they did it, but shootings are so common and occur for such a wide variety of reasons that it's hard to say there's much public interest in releasing their screeds. What the fuck is 8chan? 8chan is when you can't engage in enough pedophilia at 4chan, so you move on to double the racism and double the pedophilia. Okay? That's what it is. It's a way to avoid further scrutiny from authorities by finding a place that's hospitable for your kind of specific racism and pedophilia. Meanwhile, all you should be worried about is avoiding the top of the hour ad break, because the authorities here would be Amazon, contractually obligating me to serve a 3-minute ad break. You no longer want to see those ads? Well, then all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, or by getting gifted a sub if you are lucky. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Anyway. Why don't you go on strike and stop running the 3-minute ad breaks, bro? Yeah, you're right. That's what I should do. Thank you for being a supporter for 24 months and still doing the low tier, low effort bait. Love that. The U.S. has experienced 476 mass shootings so far this year, according to the Gun Violence Archive. We talked about that already. In fact, America's bought 60 million new guns during the pandemic, a truly daunting figure in a country of 330 million people. Police can choose to release or not release the manifestos of mass shooters, but there's absolutely no evidence that releasing manifestos will help get our mass violence problem under control. So, yeah. Daily Wire also promoted the sheriff who, in the midst of this white supremacist act of violence, this tragedy, of course, you know, cops are going to be cops, used an opportunity in the spotlight to slam leftist anti-gun agenda after tragedy, saying the problem is the individual. That's how fucking stupid cops are in America. Something that I always bring up. Cops in other countries are usually pro-gun control. Okay? Because they at least, despite being cops, are smart enough to understand that gun control makes their job a little bit more manageable and a little bit easier. Okay? Because they don't want to get fucking shot. In America, however, cops love getting shot at, I guess. It's great. Like, it's extra dumb. Our cops are extra fucking hog-like. Literally, they're just like, I am arguing against better workplace conditions here, okay? No guns would make it harder to justify cop violence. That is not true. You guys are silly as fuck if you think that American cops are thinking about that. If that was the case, then how the fuck do they keep literally murking unarmed people all the time and then defending it every single time? Guys, it does not matter. They kill people with knives. What do you mean? Cops don't need an excuse for additional reasons as to why they shot someone. Even if everyone in the United States was unarmed, you think, no, not by saying everybody had a gun, no. Even if every single person was unarmed in the United States of America, cops would still fucking murk people left and right. They do not give a shit. They do not need a reason. They do not need a reason for a legal kill. They can just simply say they are afraid, not because they have a gun, but because, you know, not because they thought they had a gun, actually. But, bro, cops have literally killed a fucking handicapped homeless person who was literally, I think, paraplegic or quadriplegic or something. Like the other couple months back, they shot and killed a dude who was on a fucking wheelchair with a knife. What the fuck do you mean? What do you mean? They don't give a shit. Cops also still absolutely engage in ruthless actions and murder people that are unarmed in places where there's very strict gun control. It don't stop them. Trust me. Okay? Anyway, but I think we've covered this Jacksonville situation well. Is there like official reports from the UNC shooting now? Because from what I understand, they may have actually accidentally apprehended the wrong person. As far as I understand, UNC has issued an all clear after the armed and dangerous situation on Chapel Hill campus.
Person they are saying to beware of, to be on the lookout for, and if you see him, please call 911, and they're also urging people to keep their distance.
Yeah, that picture needs to be circulated, so if you can jump on your social media and share that picture.
Around them when this shooting situation began unfolding at about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Let's roll the video from some more students we're hearing from.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I was walking past.
This shooting happened while we were covering Jacksonville, and people wanted me to cover it. I said, you know, I would rather wait for actual details to come out instead of, this is a different shooting. University of North Carolina authorities told people at Chapel Hill campus to resume normal activities Monday afternoon. You know, back to work, baby. Back to school. Come on, it's fine. Guys, it's fine. The school sent out an alert at 1:03 p.m. warning of danger to the campus. It sent another update at 2:24 saying that the situation was ongoing and the dangerous person was at large. At 3:14, it warned people to stay sheltered in place until all clear. And at 4:14, they said they gave the all clear and said people could resume normal activities. Classes started a week ago for the new school year. Last fall, UNC Chapel Hill had about 31,700 students, including about 20,000 undergraduates. What I understand, I think they caught him.
Suspect in this shooting. Let's go to Mark. Mark, what can you show us?
Gerald, this photograph just coming into the live center is believed to be the suspect in this case, the arrest photo. The first time we're seeing it right here. The suspect with his legs folded there and possibly the handcuffs behind his back. This is Tyler Chi, we believe. That is the suspect in this case. This is the grad school photograph that's on UNC's website. This is the photograph taken about a mile or so away from campus. This situation unfolded on UNC Chapel Hill's main campus, so that is on the map here. Let me put this down. Here's the campus, right? So follow me on this map. There's the football stadium, and when we zoom in, we're going to take you exactly to that location, 728 Williams Circle. This is a residential community. There are some apartments around there. This is the location where police apparently got that tip and then went in and made that arrest. So right now,
I told you guys, mass shootings are so commonplace. Shootings are so commonplace in the United States of America that it inevitably will happen. It'll inevitably happen in the hands of all different backgrounds, all different kinds of age groups. Every demographic will get a piece, whether it be, an older Asian man in the state of California, whether it be a trans person even, you know what I mean? Despite how tiny of a subgroup they may be, okay? It's like America is equal opportunity, weapons for all is going to happen. And they incorrectly arrested the first Asian student in a gray t-shirt. They saw our cops here are stupid. Yeah.
This is the first time we're seeing this photograph. Police have not told us directly this is the shooter in this case, but we have independently confirmed through our sources that the shooter is in custody, A, and B, this photograph is, in fact, Tyler Chi from involved in that shooting this afternoon. Quite a large scene happening still at Chapel Hill. That lockdown has not been lifted, even though the suspect has been taken into custody. We are told they currently are sweeping the buildings, making sure that there are no more other suspects. There's been no indication of that, and they have all the evidence that they need. Before we go back to the desk, I just want to double check there are no more updates from UNC police here. Nope, the last update was 27 minutes ago. So as soon as there is some new information, we will bring it to you here. This is quite the breaking situation still unfolding right now at 3:42.
Yeah, we interrupt our mass shooting coverage to give you another mass shooting. But yeah, I don't know what is happening. They just mostly talk about the heavy police presence. I think he might have. I don't know who, what his goals were. I don't know who he actually ended up killing. But remember, it's inevitable that it might come to it might come to your backyard. That's just the American existence, baby.